President Trump's big, beautiful bill. And there's a number of outlays that affect telecommunications and others in this bill. Is this something that you view as supportive of what President Trump's efforts are, not just for innovation, but also for freedom of speech online and some of these various other issues from your position at the FCC?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as far as we've already talked about the spectrum commercialization part. Jack, just to go back to your question, when you can get a Starlink? Well, the 6G standard may well stitch together cell phones and satellite internet once we finally have one. So, the idea that you'll just have to have different device modalities might be a relic of the past. Hopefully, we'll get there soon. Anyway, but getting back to the big, beautiful bill. So freedom of expression online is a real challenging issue at the FCC because we're extremely protective of the First Amendment. And I think this is something that has to be underscored over and over and over, because people will say that this White House is seeking to restrict freedom of speech. First of all, I disagree on the merits. But then second, I think there's a larger point to be made that in terms of practical freedom of speech, the ability to publish and say whatever you want online, the United States is clearly far, far in advance of all the other industrial developed countries. And the simple reason is that the First Amendment, together with the very broad readings that the courts have given to Section 230, make it virtually impossible for any federal agency to step in and impinge in any way on anyone's speech online, except, of course, unless there's some sort of backdoor coordination, such as was alleged with the prior administration. Or on the other hand, if the speech is illegal for other reasons, such as consisting of an imminent threat that would be a criminal act under any means of communication, whether online or not. So in short, the president has very little ability and certainly no desire to impinge on anyone's free speech, and we have to begin the discussion with that acknowledgement. To the extent that there is illegal speech out there, such as defamation, it shouldn't get special deference just because of the medium by which it's distributed. But on the other hand, the idea that there would be some sort of anything for Americans to worry about in terms of freedom of expression online or in broadcast media or in any other medium, it's simply impossible to support. And it's very notable that the people who complain about this kind of stuff would never complain about much more active control of the media and is the presence of state-sponsored media in, for example, Canada or Western Europe.
And this is huge, by the way. That's something that, of course, I know my colleague Charlie Kirk is over there in the UK right now talking about freedom of speech issues. J.D. Vance, the vice president, went over to Munich and was talking about these freedom of speech issues. I recently I had a long layover in London, and I was sort of joking around with saying, "Oh, I wonder what I can post on Twitter while I'm here in London without running afoul of Keir Starmer and these types." And this is a serious issue in many parts of the world.
It absolutely is. We've certainly seen people who's in the United States who've gotten into some kind of trouble in their lives over tweets. But I recall seeing that in the UK, there are about 1,000 people a month arrested over tweets. If that's a real number, that's amazing. Because, of course, with the UK, you've got a population about a sixth or a seventh less than the United States. Imagine if we were arresting 6,000 people a month, 7,000 people a month for tweets. My gosh, that would be almost, that would be about, 84,000 people a year. It's unthinkable. It's crazy. This just has no place within our political culture. So the idea that people operating in that kind of media environment where you can literally go to jail for a tweet, some of which seem pretty innocuous to me, and in any case, very few of which, the ones which are alleged to be threatening, would reach the Brandenburg standard in the United States to be illegal speech. The idea that people in that environment are complaining about us, it just seems totally backward.